Ben and Me, Chapter 3 The Bargain. When I woke up, the room was sizzling warm. Ben was happily writing as usual, and I went over to see what was going on. So far, he had written with a lot of flourishes an account of the new Pennsylvania fireplaces recently invented by Dr. Ben Franklin, wherein their construction and their. Ben, I said, we'll have to come to an understanding. Do you recollect your exact words when it worked? Why, yes, I do, he admitted, very prompt. He was always fair, Ben was, just over-enthusiastic about himself. As I remember, those words were, Amos, we've done it. Exactly, said I. We've done it. We means two, you and me. Now let's get things straight, Ben. Fame and honors are nothing to me. Cheese is. Also, there's my family to consider. 25 brothers and sisters in a cold vestry and hungry. I can be a great help to you. I've proved that. Now, what do you propose? He looked pretty thoughtful then, and I could feel a quotation coming on. Finally, it did. The laborer is worthy of his hire, he said. I don't labor, I said. I think. And maxims don't fill empty stomachs. That's not a bad one itself. Be specific. Well, we talked it over for some time, and Ben was very reasonable about the whole affair. Generous, too. I think that being comfortably warm for once helped that. We finally made the following agreement. Twice a week, rain or shine, he promised to have delivered to the vestry one 2-ounce piece of best quality cheese, one 1-inch slice rye bread, fresh, 88 grains unhulled wheat. For myself, I was to have as home or domicile to me and my heirs, to have and hold forever without let or hindrance, with daily subsistence and clothing, in addition thereto, one fur cap. On my part, I was faithfully to give and perform to him, Benjamin Franklin, advice, aid, assistance, and succor at all times and under all conditions, and with him constantly to abide, till death did us part. So help me. Ben wrote it all up neat, with lots of flourishes, Latin phrases and seals. Then we both signed it and shook hands on the bargain. He was fine about the whole thing and never used a single maxim. I must say he lived up to it, too. Not once in all the rest of my life did that bread, cheese, and wheat fail to reach the vestry twice a week, regular as clockwork. After that, we sat around for a while, basking in the warmth, and I couldn't help thinking how my fortunes had changed in the short 24 hours. Here I was in a snug, comfortable home, my family well provided for, with a good friend and an interesting fortune. I felt so much at peace with the world that when Ben finally asked, Amos, what shall we call this affair? I said, my friend, the credit is all yours. We hereby call it the Franklin Stove. Then we went to bed. I was soon comfortably settled in my new home. Ben, who was fairly well skilled with the needle, began to contrive many ingenious little improvements to the fur cap. There was a small compartment where I could keep a supply of food against an emergency, and, of course, a place for sleeping. There was also a peephole at the front through which I could watch where we were going. This was of great value, for the streets of Philadelphia were, at that time, most ill-paved and congested. Ben never had his wits about him, and I was often able to prevent him from plunging into a mud puddle or a market cart. However, the most important improvement that we devised was a small hole in the lining of the cap, just above his left ear. Through this, I was able to give him, unnoticed by others, my observations and advice. Historians have been puzzled at the way Dr. Franklin seemed to know what was going on in the minds of others. He didn't. The things that I discovered and told him made it seem as though he did. The only remarkable thing about the whole business was me. Ben soon became so dependent on my advice that he seldom ventured abroad without me. The fur cap, which formerly he had used only in inclement weather, he now wore constantly, indoors and out, doffing it only in the privacy of our own room. This, of course, attracted no little attention, but Ben always enjoyed that. And we'll read chapter 4 next time. Till then, as Tigger says, ta-ta for now. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.